Hey, Espo, I saw what you wrote about me and my family the other day.
I wrote it about your mom. What you gonna do about it?
Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. Pass it down, Steven.
I'm putting this on TikTok. Happy late night hoops, everybody. Welcome into the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. I'm Lindsay. That's Eric. That's Steven. That's Espo, who is, yes, wearing the exact same outfit that he has been wearing for 78 days now.
Locked in. Let's get another win.
We love to see it. Hey, just real quick off the top, we want to invite you guys out to a couple things here. First and foremost, PHNX Trivia Night at Chicken in Pickle in Glendale, November 7th at 6 p.m. Get your group together. You can have a team of up to 4 people. It's for free. And you can win prizes for the top team. You test your Arizona sports knowledge. I sent in the Suns trivia one, so...
Which means I'm going to have to correct them while I'm out there.
False, which means you're probably going to lose. But you can find all the information at gophnx.com/events. Also, one more housekeeping item. You have checks notes, 4 hours left to get our introductory price to become a diehard. Like, super affordable right now. It gets you access to all of the best content you could ask for, articles from Gerald on the Suns side of things, but every other team as well. So check that out again. GoPHNX.com. Like I said, 4 hours. TikTok. Do it at halftime or right after the show.
Or right now.
Yeah, you can do both. Multitask.
Double windows, right?
Are you guys good at multitasking? I feel like you're not.
Yeah. Have you seen me during the show?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I would survive if I wasn't good at multitasking.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room?
Sure.
This game's at 8:15 at night. Look,
The worst.
NBA, I get it. You took tomorrow off, right? Some of us do that from time to time. And then you got to jam a lot in on one day. I get all 30 teams are playing, but this every 15 minutes a game starts. Just start them whenever. Start them at regular time. At like 7 o'clock in Phoenix rather than 8:15. Poor people in Philly, it starts at 10:15 at night. I just don't get it.
I feel like Steven's used to this, though. Late night basketball.
Do you feel more in your element?
I've been watching West Coast basketball from the Midwest for my entire life. So this is nothing. Y'all are spoiled.
Yes.
Yeah, but when you're young, I think
I'm not saying you're wrong at all. Two things can be true.
I think when you're young, it's great that there's like basketball on until 1 a.m. As you get older, it's not. I can't imagine. You know,
I hear you.
All right, gentlemen, let's talk basketball. The 5-1 Phoenix Suns will face off against the 1-4 Philadelphia 76ers tonight. And we're going to start with the injury report because that is the biggest news of this game. Sixers' newest star, Paul George, will make his debut with the team tonight after missing the start of the season. Now, Nick Nurse did say he will be on a minutes restriction tonight in small spurts throughout the game to kind of start getting him in to game shape and acclimated. Joel Embiid remains out. Bradley Beal, who was questionable ahead of tonight's game, is available. Coach Bud did say that right elbow sprain thing is just kind of a nagging type of an issue, and they're hopeful he'll be okay. It's just a matter of how it's responding to games and contact day to day, basically.
I don't know, man. Elbows are tricky, especially if it's starting to cause tingling in that hand when you're trying to shoot and stuff. It's got to be something they're going to watch closely because we saw him messing with that hand at the end of the last game. Hopefully, no problems tonight, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on that.
Especially his right elbow as well, the shooting elbow, the one that you need to put a lot of pressure and weight into. Like that, even just the slightest 1% tick off on your jump shot or something doesn't feel right, Steven, it could mess everything up.
Yeah, have you noticed anything in watching the film?
No, I mean, he took a lot of shots. He took his normal shot diet for the most part. So there's that. But the last part of the game is what was definitely alarming. And we'll continue to watch for it going forward.
Yeah, so that is something to continue to keep an eye on. I'm sure we'll be doing this song and dance of questionable in, questionable out, questionable in for maybe at least another week or so. Hopefully not, but it wouldn't surprise me just with the way that those injuries kind of seem to linger. But obviously, Paul George being back, the minutes restriction does help in that sense, but he still brings another level of play to the Sixers squad. Here's what Coach Bud had to say on what makes PG a tough cover.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, he's been doing it for so long. I think, his ability to score at all three levels, his ball handling mixed with his height at 6'8", and ability to kind of create separation, off the dribble. But then also, the league, maybe not as much of a pen down league, but a great guy coming off of pen downs and coming off of screens. Then he's got the athleticism and burst to get to the paint and finish there, get free throws, get fouled. Early threes in transition. I mean, he's just a very unique, gifted player. It's like, he basically can do everything offensively. And he also can fit within the flow of a team, kind of pick his spots, and seems like a great teammate. He's just been, one of the great players in our league for a long time.
And especially for a 76ers team that has just been devastated without Joel Embiid and now, of course, without Paul George, they have a severe talent deficit without those two. And so even in just a minutes restriction, Steven, Paul George's ability to do just a little bit of everything adds an extra layer and makes this a lot tougher of a team who they're well coached either way. So adding a little bit of superstar talent definitely doesn't hurt.
I think the player that's most happy to see Paul George back is Tyrese Maxey. Now, obviously, he is more than okay with having the ball in his hands all the time as a template, but when you actually have to do it across multiple games, that gets a little arduous, I would say. So I think he's gonna feel a sense of relief from it, and we might see him have a potential, maybe his best game of the season so far.
I think what I question the most is who's guarding him, right? If he's out there when bench units come in, Ryan Dunn probably gets the assignment, but with Bradley Beal back in there, you're back to a smaller group out there. So is it Brad that pulls the defensive assignment? Is it KD at that point? And then how does it net out there? And that's probably my biggest question. Is that from a Suns perspective? And then how much rust does Paul George have? Can he really help this team that's shooting 31% from beyond the arc right now? Yeah. I think 26th worst. 29th in the league in 3-point percentage. Can he actually help bolster that, or is there enough rust where you can play the math game there?
I think he'll definitely help. And talking about defensive matchups, I think KD does end up on Paul George because they don't have a traditional power forward. They're going to start Caleb Martin at that 4 spot. I'd much rather have Bradley Beal or Devin Booker guarding Caleb, the other guarding Kelly Oubre, and then Paul George and KD match up. That feels like the easiest way to kind of divvy things up to me.
I like this matchup for Devin Booker because Kelly Oubre, Paul George, you don't like him. We might get a few Devin Booker
Well, he
tonight.
doesn't like the Sixers either.
Yeah, I mean, we might get some fun tonight.
Okay, can we just talk about that for 1 second? Not to derail us. Word on the street is that Paul George and Book are fine now. I know that the long-standing beef has been going on for a while, but last summer, word on the street said they officially squashed things.
Okay.
I know it was behind closed doors and not necessarily public-facing like all the beef was. But I'm just saying.
You can squash the off-court stuff, but when you get between the lines, I'm sorry, there's probably still residual, and that's the place where you can actually go at it and not have any repercussions for it, right? So my guess is if you felt away, an in-person meeting, talking, shaking hands, whatever the hell you do, makes it better on the streets, but in between the lines, I'm not sure it does.
All of that we're good stuff is cute until you see players on the court together. Where there's smoke, there's always fire. All it takes is one bucket that feels somewhat disrespectful because they're both elite at it, or one foul that feels like it was a little extra, and all of a sudden you're right back at square one.
That's true.
Well,
Let's watch how it unfolds.
Well, and we've heard that Book and Luka are buddies now, right? But
Mhm.
it doesn't change it on the court.
Not at all.
Sometimes you play harder against your friends. Sometimes you want to, stick it to them a little bit more because you want bragging rights. It's not all about making the other person
The
hate
trash
you.
talk turns
I mean,
friendly,
yeah,
and
Yeah,
now
but
it's
it's
even
about
more.
establishing a
Yeah,
hierarchy.
totally.
Right. Look at Devin Booker a couple of years ago against the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns. We're friends. That's cute and everything, but you holding the bucket and you holding the bucket and you going to hold the bucket too.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
All right, back into the three-point shooting for tonight's game. As far as you mentioned, the Sixers are second worst in three-point percentage right now, shooting 31% from deep. The Suns are sixth in the league, though, which is nice, shooting 38% from deep. Eric, I know this is a big key point for you for tonight's game.
Yeah, and the only game Philly won this season, I know they're shooting bad from three, but they launched 42 of them. In their 4 losses, they're averaging 33.5, and it was much worse than that before their last game against the Grizzlies, which they did lose, but they launched 46 of them. Before that, they had multiple games with under 33-point attempts. Mix that with poor three-point shooting percentage, you're just not going to get wins, and especially, without Paul George on the court, this is a Sixers team starved for scoring outside of Tyrese Maxey. Expect Eric Gordon. Sorry, I didn't drop a trigger warning there. Imagine Eric Gordon out there. He's going to be taking lots of threes. Kelly's going to shoot lots of threes. Caleb Martin's going to shoot a lot of threes. Steven, we might see an Andre Drummond three-pointer tonight because he has been taking 1 or 2 this season. They're going to try to make up that talent deficit, but if they're not dropping, it doesn't matter.
Nick Nurse said voluntarily that he thinks that Andre Drummond is a decent three-point shooter in preseason. Now, that might be some coach speaking, trying to instill some confidence in the guy. Wow. But that takes a lot to say out loud and to not hesitate or laugh or put even a sheepish grin on while you're saying something like that. So, yes, we will see him taking threes. And I think that they're going to look to launch him, but they're going to generally look to play in the open court. That's where Tyrese Maxey thrives. He's one of the best players in the NBA in that context to play. They have to get enough stops to do that, though, and they have been a gutter defense this season to start, which is not customary to a Nick Nurse-led team at all.
It's interesting, though, right? They haven't been great at defense, but the other night they had 11 steals, 5 blocks. It was the 25th time since the beginning of last season that they've had at least 10 and 5. So this isn't a team that you can fall into your turnover patterns with, though, too, because they know how to pick a pocket and get those live ball turnovers. So you got to play within yourselves. You can't try to get cutesy with the passes or lazy with the passes because the 76ers will make you pay for it on that side of things. And then on the three-point side of things, I was shocked to look at it, and the Suns are like 9th in three-point attempts per game, but basically half their shots have been three-point attempts. It's crazy that they're only 9th in the league at that, and still significantly more than what the 76ers are putting up.
But 6th in makes.
Yeah.
So, and those are the ones that count, right? But when it comes to the Sixers, too, another guy you got to keep an eye out for when it comes to shooting from deep is Kyle Lowry. 63.2% from beyond the arc, which is 3rd in the NBA this season.
He's still got some game left.
He does.
He ain't prime Kyle Lowry, but he gets the job done.
You can't leave him out there, though, wide open.
I mean, we talked about bubble butts on the last show.
No weed.
Speaking
There's
of
no
them,
weed.
The
Him and
collective
Grayson.
PHNX Suns.
Hold on. You got Kyle Lowry, you got Eric Gordon, you
Grayson
got Grayson Allen. This is a bubble butt boys
I
night.
feel like you could low-key throw Bradley Beal into there, too.
Yeah, I mean,
He might be at the bottom of the list.
maybe Chuck's going to
No
be in the
pun
Steven, are we
intended.
missing anybody?
So, what are you guys' key to the game?
No, we already covered that, man. We're talking about bubble butts.
My key to the game is can Nurk hit a higher percentage from 3 than Draymond
Or
Drummond.
Drummond tonight.
Dude, if it goes to overtime, instead of playing overtime, just let both of them
Bro.
shoot threes, and whoever makes the most, that's the winner.
Hey, thanks for mentioning it. Hey, if it goes to 4
Can
overtimes,
we
we'll
write
be
him
here
up
till
for that? I
tomorrow.
feel like we need to put like some form of punishment. Like this game already starts at 8:15, Eric.
We will brainstorm a punishment for me if,
Oh
if
my
that does happen.
God.
I will publicly apologize.
Oh, you need to do more than that.
All right, we'll
We
think
do have
about
to
it.
give a shout out to our guy, Devin Booker. He was named Western Conference Player of the Week for October 28th through November 3rd. He averaged 33.7 points per game, 6.3 assists, 5.7 rebounds, and 1.3 steals. I know we talked about the added umph maybe that we'll get from Book tonight because Paul George is out there. How have you guys liked how Book has kind of found himself in this second week of the season, or in that second week of the season? I guess it's third now.
I don't even think that was the best book. Anyone Western Conference Player of the Week. So, I mean, yeah, he's starting to come back into form, but the whole week, I don't think it was everything you expected. So I think we're going to get more of him evolving back into the guy that we've seen offensively, getting into the flow of things. I think tonight is one of those games that external motivation always helps, especially with him. When you see him get angry and fired up, you get one of those 22-point quarters, right? I mean, he's already one of the top. I think he's got the third most points in fourth quarters this year. And that's with him not playing well. I could see him really going off tonight in one of these quarters.
I mean, he has a history against the Sixers. I think it was back in 2017, 2018 season, back when JJ was on the team. JJ brought it up when he was on the podcast where he was like, man, Book just did not care. I think he almost dropped 50 in that game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get close to 40 again. Yeah, the best Book is the Book that can get up to the 50s and the 60s. We'll see it at some point, but I don't know if it's tonight. Hopefully, but we'll see.
I think the biggest thing is his three-point shooting. It's the willingness to take them, the hunting out of them, and now the efficiency starting to match it. We talked about that unlocking his general game as a preseason preview for him. I expect for him to take on average and on volume in terms of total his most three-point attempts over the course of his career on a season-long basis this season. And he's definitely starting to align with that, and the efficiency, especially specifically on the pull-up three, is starting to match it.
Yeah, this Suns team, I know this is obviously multiple generations of Suns teams. They're 30-8 in the last 38 games in Phoenix against the Sixers, right? They have a fairly dominant time with this group. You hope that they can make it a 31-8 because the Sixers have not played great. They're going to have to try to figure out, how to integrate Paul George, a guy that they haven't played a regular season game with, into all this. You hope you're catching them at the right time, where maybe you can make some easy work of it.
Absolutely. Knock on wood, touch metal. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's dive a little bit deeper into the Suns now that we are a few more games into the season. Tyus Jones spoke about the Suns' chemistry so far and where it can go.
I think good and continuing to get better. It's still extremely early. I know a lot of this group was here last year, but there's also some new pieces and new coaching staff, new systems. So we're still a long ways away from, I think, where we want to be, and that's the exciting part for us. So we're still working, trying to improve, take steps forward each and every day. But the chemistry is great. The energy around the gym is really good, and the energy in the locker room is really good. So that's a positive, and we're excited to show up for work.
I think one of the things that we have to continue to remember is that we're 5-1. This is our 7th game of the season.
Yeah.
Things, even though we have seen ups and downs so far, I think as a whole, I'm feeling pretty good about the way this season has started. Their commitment to buying into a new system and their new head coach and each other. There's a lot of room that this team can continue to grow, and we're just scratching the surface of it.
5-1 with a tough schedule too. I mean, the schedule for the Suns at the beginning of the season is a gauntlet. It's one of the hardest in the league. It's going to get easier as time goes on, but that in itself is exciting because, like Tyus said, as they continue to get better, as they continue to develop more chemistry, the opponents overall get easier. So if you can cushion up a good lead now, say you only drop a couple games in your first 10, that's a good start to what could have been rough if they didn't get off running hot.
Steven, I'd love your perspective on this because to me, I'm not sure it's been as up and down as some people, let's be honest, Twitter likes to make you feel it has been. Because, I mean, it's cliche, but the NBA is a game of runs, right? So seeing one team up 18, 20 points and having that dissipate isn't all that strange in this league now. So how have you felt overall? Because to me, I feel like this may just be more of this is normal basketball, especially when you're shooting as many threes as they are now.
I don't think it's up and down is an exaggerated version of what everyone else has been saying, but it's been the ebbs and flows like you're speaking to. And I think the biggest thing outside of the actual chemistry we've seen between the players and the head coach, obviously, is the stick-to-itiveness for them. you go on runs. Sometimes you have runs go against you, but the best teams can go on those runs and then figure out how to come back if they're in the opposite version of it. I think that's what we've seen from them this season, like Eric has said as well, that we didn't see them have last season on consistency. And to see that so early while they're still in the ingratiation process, that means everything.
And I think what Ty said at the end of that clip is exactly why. They're having fun coming to work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot easier to keep your head in those games and pull and fight to get back when you actually like the group that you're with.
Yeah.
Having fun is such an underrated like part of winning games, and also just like life in general. Let's be so for real.
Any job.
Yeah, any job. But like, how do you, but especially in a team sport, like how are you supposed to build chemistry and come together during those tough times when the opponent goes on a tough run and your lead starts to just fall away if you don't have fun, if you don't truly like each other enough to get over whatever drama or issues might have arose during the season. Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
And even for more context, I mean, 5-1 on the season, but there's a couple of games that we left saying if this was last year's team with last year's mentality, they would have lost, right? And,
well, with last year's coaching and lack of adjustment, too.
Right. Well, and that's kind of like the overarching theme of it all. We did our grades earlier this week, and we talked about Coach Bud, and everybody was A+s all around. And it's hard to get a read on a coach this early into the season. We were talking about Frank Vogel 5-6 games into the season. We're like, oh, well, give him time. He's figuring things out. But with Bud, it's like, okay, man, like we're seeing everything that's tangible, that's actually growing and getting better. And if we see it, everybody internally has been seeing it for a while. And for some of the greats to be in there with some young guys, I think that's the perfect combination to say, hey, we know what we're doing and we trust the process. Now you're seeing the results. Hopefully that can snowball in a good way.
And this is why the team builders get paid the big bucks that they do. It's one thing to identify talent. It's one thing to identify talent that makes sense for your roster. It's another thing to identify the human being aspect of it. This guy has a good personality that matches with this guy. We need a leader, so let's get this guy in here. All of these things add up to whether the team reaches their optimized level or comes up short.
I agree. Being a GM's hard.
Well, that's why you got an A+ for your free agency move, my guy.
This is true.
There we go.
As everyone's mentioning in the chat, hit that like button. If you are here with us watching live, it means a lot to us, and it's absolutely free. All right, moving on. Espo, what are you guys wearing in this matchup?
Oh, let's check out what they're wearing. We got the white uniforms, unfortunately.
Boo, boring.
And Philly wearing the PHILA uniforms with the blue. They're boring. Both of these uniforms are boring.
They need a revamp.
It's whatever.
They need some new jerseys over in Philly.
I want the Fightin' Ben Franklin back on their uniforms. that was spectacular, that alternate logo.
Are they afraid of new jerseys in Philly because of relocation?
But get out. Go ahead.
Bad East Coast jokes. Yeah. You have the rest of the night. You have the rest of the night and the rest of the week off. Don't come back. Don't come back next week either.
You shake on it?
It's an indefinite off, is what he said.
Okay, with pay though.
No.
Suspended with pay.
No.
Sure. We'll talk.
Wink, wink.
More
Sure.
bad jokes, Matt. There we go.
All right, who you guys got tonight and by how much? Who wants to tip us off on this one?
I will. 76ers by 1.
Keeping it alive, Espo. You're keeping it alive. I like it.
I got the Suns by 8 tonight. I think the Sixers are still trying to find their way. Now, I know that they can find ways to get wins, especially if Paul George is back in the lineup and Nick Nurse is on the sideline. They can really junk things up with their defense, but the Suns are rolling right now. I think they're going to continue to align themselves with this win streak.
Definitely think the Suns win. I feel like this is going to be another ugly game.
Yeah?
Another ugly game, kind of like the Portland one. I feel like we're going to be like, what's going on? The Suns should be winning by 15, 20, and at the end, the shots are going to fall and they'll win by 4.
Okay, I have Suns by 6. I could see it being a tougher game, but I hope it's not like the Portland game where that one was just kind of like WTF. A tougher matchup I can handle. Shenanigans like we saw on Saturday, not so much.
I think it might look like that first game against the Clippers where it was junked up, right? Where the offense didn't feel right at times because they were having just bizarre defensive coverage thrown at them. And I think Nick Nurse, to your point, could do that. So I think it may feel a little bit like that.
Steven, what do our friends over at Bet365 think about this one as we take a look at the money line here for tonight's matchup between the Suns and the Sixers?
Yeah, so on the spread, obviously the Suns are the favorites for this matchup. We talked about the injuries for the Sixers. That putting them at that same in the deficit. And obviously on the money line, you got the Suns at minus 290. So things are looking bright for the Suns, no pun intended. Let's see if they can cash in on it.
And
Like, you're getting good at this. I got to tell you, man. You're getting good at this.
look at that. That's growth. We love to see it. All right, guys, it's time for our
He
pregame
makes a pun.
picks.
Everybody's ooh, yay! I make a pun. It's like you're suspended for 2 weeks. Get out of here.
You've been here for
He
a
made
year.
he
That's
made
how
a
it
good,
works.
clean
Oh, is that the
transition
difference?
into
Oh.
it. Yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Okay, it's time to take a peek at our pregame picks presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code PHNX365. When you sign up, choose your offer and find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. So we all took L's Saturday night, so there's no winner who should tip us off. Eric, you want to do the honors this time?
Yeah, so last time KD screwed my parlay, so I figured, screw it. Let's do a 3-leg parlay, all with Kevin Durant boosted from our friends over at Bet365. KD to score 25-plus points, get 5-plus assists, and 7-plus rebounds, all at a plus 1,200 on the night. Need a big win. Get out of the negative.
Okay. I saw this one, and I actually considered it.
Yeah.
Because this was a pre-built one from Bet365, right?
yeah.
I love that they do that.
She considered it and then went the polar opposite in
Well,
terms
I
of
told
odds.
you.
odds.
I literally told you on Saturday, I'm going to reel it back in. I'm going to try and get me just a couple dollars here. But listen, I feel like it's doable. KD, 2 or more threes, Book 3 or more threes, and the Suns to score 100. It's a plus 135, but I got a 30% odds boost. So I'm going to make an extra like $5 from this on top of what I would have brought home. So that's why I rolled with it, because it's, it's pretty basic, but whatever.
I like
I'm trying
how-
to get some dollars.
I like how you're like, this was a bet I could definitely see these things happening. It's a plus 135. I would hope that you could see them happening at a
Facts.
plus
You're
135.
telling me. You're telling me, Eric.
We're back to Smiths.
If
All
I
right.
lose $10 on this bet, you don't even understand.
I can't wait.
Dink and dunk. Dink and dunk.
Steven, what you got?
I got an interesting one tonight. Tyrese Maxey has been looking like Allen Iverson in an evolved version for the Sixers so far this season. He's averaging 29.8 on the season. I got him at 30+. Devin Booker, coming off a player of the week, been averaging a whole lot more than 25 the last handful of games. I think he's going to get back to that mark again. And then Kevin Durant is going to get it going from deep with at least 2 3-pointers made, all for a plus 475.
Oh, great. We got to listen to both. You're rooting for the 2+ KD threes.
Yep. Well,
I'm good
know.
with 2. She got to get 3.
No, I only need 2. I need 3 from Book.
both.
Okay,
2 from
okay.
KD.
Look, I'm sick of waiting to find out if I hit my bet. So I went with rip the Band-Aid off per usual. Tyus Jones first basket plus 1,100.
Okay.
Let's just get it done with.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Like, it's over and done with.
I
So,
mean, we shall see. We shall see. Do we have the odds, or not the odds, the standings of where we all are? I think what
oh, that's so
This is
beautiful.
correct.
Espo and I are in the green, and Steven and Eric are in the red. So Espo leads us with $70 to his name. I'm in second with $23.50. Eric, you are in third. You are only minus $39.50. Steven rounding us out at a minus $41.67.
The battle for the bottom is on.
I know, right?
Hey, man.
Stay tuned.
R.I.P.
It's early.
R.I.P. to all your
Hey,
picks
you guys,
this year.
you guys are bubble bust because
Nah,
you're at the bottom,
nah,
right?
Nope.
You're
Nope.
bottom.
Nope.
Thank you.
If you guys want to
Response.
get in on the action and take the same bets as us or come up with better ones, that's okay too. Again, make sure you sign up for the Bet365 app using the code PHNX365. And disclaimer, you must be 21 or older and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts before we go watch this game?
Yeah, Steven doesn't like big butts and he cannot lie.
He
so.
doesn't. He's so mad at
See,
you right
guys
now.
almost threw me all the way off. I'm looking forward to the junking up of the defense. Nick Nurse has never been scared to play zone. He's got the personnel to do it. Add Paul George to that context, that adds even more layers to that. And his bench units have a lot of interesting personalities in terms of activity. Suns have to bring it, especially with their reserve units mixed again in against that.
to continue with the serious basketball analysis. KD, Paul George, that's great and all, but I'm looking for the Grayson Allen, Kyle Lowry post-up competition.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for the pregame show. We appreciate you as always. And of course, don't forget to meet us right back here after the game wraps up. Okay, bye.
We all silly like the mayor.